Hello, this is West Virginia Tim. I'm at a local county park and we're going to talk today about putting a geocache in water. This cache is called Up Periscope. It's one of mine. My GPS tells me I'm about 100 feet away. It looks like it's probably going to be right out there on that dock. Okay, my geocache tells me to bring an air pump with me. Ground zero is right here. So I've looked around and right over the side of this dock I see a Schrader valve. So I'm going to hook my air pump to that and I'm going to start pumping. I'm looking around, I don't see a geocache. Let's just see what happens. Up out of the water came the periscope. Now it's been in for a couple years, so it's completely covered with algae. You can't even see it. Now all I've got to do is reach down and grab that geocache. Okay, so this cache works best with two people. One pumps, when the cache comes up, the other person grabs it. This has been in for over a year. That's the reason it's all colored and got algae on it. This is a waterproof container. I put a piece of fishing line and attached it to here so that if a cacher drops it, he won't lose it. You reach in, you pull out the log. I use right in the rain logs, and I actually put it in a piece of plastic. This has been underwater now for 2 years and it's as dry as a bone. Okay, I'm going to now show you how to build this thing, but before I do that, I just want you to understand this simple concept can be used anywhere that you want to place a cache underwater. It is going to have something to affix the cache to. Your tube can be 50 feet long if you want to. If you do, of course, it'll have to be marked as a teamwork cache. Okay, this is the base tube. This is the connection into the base tube. This is the plastic air tube with a clamp. So when air goes into the tube, it's going to go up, pushing the periscope up. I found a natural hole in the dock and placed my valve that the geocacher has to hook up his pump to. And I used a Schrader valve. It's just a regular valve like you find on any car or bicycle. Puts their pressure pump down on, locks it on, and they're ready to start pumping. Okay, so this is going up to the pump up on the dock, and we have our, this is of course water here. So underneath the water is the periscope, and so when my wife starts pumping, you'll notice what happens. Up comes the cache. It stays perfectly just above the water level. So all the cacher has to do is reach down when it comes up and pulls the cache up. And of course on the piece of pipe it says, "Please leave, geocache placed with permission." Notice that the air hole is allowing air to come out. So now when she quits pumping, because of the hole, periscope goes down. It's great when geocachers share ideas. This idea was shared with me by Peter Gaylord Dayspring up in Seattle. He shared the concept. I'm the old retired guy, so I had time to play with it. So I actually played with the concept right here in my lake to get this to work. A couple key things when you make this. This is an 1.5" PVC. It's inside a 2" PVC, so it slides loosely. This elbow here, this is a sleeve that goes into it that's a reducer. Inside the reducer with epoxy glue, I attached a waterproof matchbox container. There's two really key things here. So one of the key things is determining the length of your shaft. It has to be underwater, ever how high you need it. But when this comes up to the top and gets near the surface, it will stop right here at the surface. So this tube here has to be long enough so that it doesn't fall out and fall into the lake. So determining the length of this tube and this tube is critical and will take some practice. If you make it too long, you can always say, well, I'll just make it long enough, then it won't come out. But then it's much heavier and it takes so much more air to get it up. The other key thing is you have to have a hole here in the top. Now, putting a hole, when you pump air, when air comes in here and this starts rising up, you don't need the hole for that part. But what you need the hole for is when you put the cache back. If there's no hole to let the air escape, the cache would just stay up there. But if the hole is too large, then when you start pumping, it won't come up. So the key is, I started this with a very, very small drill bit, and I made a hole and it would come up, but then when I put it there, it would just stay there and not go down. It would go down really, really slow over the course of maybe a half hour or an hour. But if you make the hole too big, then it doesn't retain enough air in the tube to bring it up. So you have to determine how big your hole is by just playing with it. The concept is simple on how to build this. It's a very inexpensive cache. It might only cost you a couple dollars to build, but it will take some playing around to figure out how big to make your hole that goes in here and how big to make your pipe. Of course, that depends on the application and where you're going to put it. I would have loved to have a lake that was 8 feet deep, and I could have made this longer, and I could have pumped it up from the depths and have the periscope come up. But still, cachers love this. There's just something about pumping an air, pumping your bicycle pump. And when you start pumping your bicycle pump, maybe you don't even know where the cache is. Only thing ground zero leads you to is your valve. So you hook your bicycle pump to your valve and you start pumping, and then you'll hear it gurgle, 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 and then you start looking around, and up out of the depths of the lake comes the periscope. This is a great cache. I hope you take this idea and this concept and you can build something like this at your house. No need to ask for permission. Don't give me credit. I'm really just trying to raise the geocaching bar one geocache at a time. Hey, thanks for watching.